Welcome to today's webinar. My name is Bunny and I'm your presenter today. For the program today, I'm going to start with an overview of the Artistic Software Suites version 6, and then I'm going to work through today's projects. I worked up 2 projects for today's webinar, and I'll show you what those are in just a little bit. It is so easy to create with the Artistic software. Some of the features of the Artistic Suite version 6 are: we can create beautiful embroidery from graphics, we can create custom rhinestone and crystal templates, we can do cutwork and fabric cutting, make applique and heat transfers, we can use decorative stitches, turn true type fonts and Greek lettering into stitches. There are 3,500 built-in designs. It's great for small sewing and craft businesses, can be used in conjunction with other software programs, and can be used with any brand or style of embroidery machine. We can do monograms. We can make customized monograms, create 2 or 3 character monograms, use and convert true type fonts, editing of included shapes, wide variety of included templates, create and edit using wizard feature or create from scratch. We can control and edit a variety of parameters including width, height, resize, or move design elements for truly customized designing. We can work with crystals. We have an autofill option for quick and simple design creation. Fill areas within designs using a wide variety of fill styles. We can create single-line graphics and outlines with crystals. Choose from a variety of built-in crystal sizes and brands. We can add individual crystals to accent applique for embroidery. Control the spacing and angles of crystals. Embroidery embellishment included for outlines, applique, and net fill areas. Embroidery clip art is included. And we can export for heat transfers. We can do cutwork. We can turn your embroidery machine into a custom die cutter with the use of 4 bladed needles. It will cut balsa wood, tin, foam, paper, leather, wire mesh, and multiple layers of fabric. We can do traditional cutwork on our clothing or craft projects. Artistic Sewing Suite software will assign the correct cutting needle in the correct order needed to cut out the design. Combine cutwork, embroidery, and crystals to make a unique design. In the contents of the package, you will get cutting needles, there's 4 of those, and a specialized ruler. The needles will all have a different angle on them, so they will go into your machine where your embroidery or your sewing machine needle go now, and they have a different angle on each one of those needles. The software that you get in the package is 2 different software programs that work together and complement each other. These programs can be opened and used at the same time, so you can toggle back and forth between them. Creative Drawings is an art-based software that allows you to create designs. You can import drawings. You can convert drawings into stitches. And Wings Modular is a stitch-based embroidery software. You can finish and edit stitch files that you have. And this is the software that we're going to add the veneery cuts for doing the cutwork designs. This is one of the projects that have been worked up for you. It's a napkin corner. This project is going to show you how easy it is to turn lettering into stitches, add decorative accents, and create a placement line for perfect placement. And the Glitz CD case. This will show you how easy it is to turn our lettering into a crystal heat press transfer. I'm going to go to the software now, and we're going to do an overview. In case you haven't worked with the software before, this is going to show you the workspace components of this software. Our main menu bar is up here at the very top left-hand corner, and we have the usual drop-down menus that you've probably worked with on many software programs. The first one is our File, and when we click on that tab, we have New, Open, Save, Save As, lots of different things. Print, you're probably very used to seeing, print artwork, send, close. Our exit is always under File as well. The next tab is Edit. You can see we have Undo, Redo. You're going to see Cut, Copy, Paste, Select All, Invert Selection. These items here that are grayed out, if we have something in the workspace that will let you be able to use these, then these will be darker so you can select them. So if something's grayed out, that just means that you can't work with it with what you have in the workspace right now. Under View, we have Outline Design, Stitches, Stitch Points, Sequence Manager, Backdrop, 3D View, Thickness, Overlapping Crystals. We also have guidelines and hoop, zoom, toolbars. This one is very important because under this one you have another menu that pops out here, and these are the toolbars that we have that we can have opened or closed, whichever way. I like to have them open on my screen when I'm working with the software. If I know that I'm not going to be maybe working with some of the tools on here, maybe the palette, I could just click on that and that would remove it from my view here. So if you don't see what you're looking for sometimes on your screen, just go to your toolbars here under View, make sure there's a check mark in it, and then it should show up on your screen. Under Tools, we have Select Fabric, Edit Palette, Change Hoop, Auto Sequence, Insert Symbols, very important. We also have our Clip Art library. So we have Insert Clip Art or Create Clip Art under there. Under Window, these are, or this will show you if you have something open in the workspace. I have two things right now that are open in the workspace. If I had more than that, it would list them under this tab right here. And under Help, we have our Help Topics, which is our manual. We have Show Help on, and I'm going to show you in a minute all about that one. About Creative Drawings, if you click onto that one, that's going to tell you about your software that you have. It shows the serial number on it, and it will give you some more information on it as well. So it also tells you the version you have. So you would be able, if someone asked you what version you have, you can go right there and find that out for yourself. All right, so we're going to close that. And now we're going to look at our standard toolbar, and you're going to see in our toolbars a lot of those same things that you saw in the main menu. So if you don't know what toolbar they're in, you might be able to find them in your main menu. You also put your cursor arrow on them and a pop-up box will show and tell you what it is. So this one is new. If I wanted to do a new project right now, I would click on this and I could create a new project to work on. We have Open, we have Save, Print, Copy, Paste, Undo, Redo, Select Fabric, Edit Palette, Manage your hoop options, your Zoom, we have Weld, Trim, Intersect, and here's that Help button again with the question mark. If I click onto that, I can see that I have a little question mark that is hooked onto my cursor arrow. If I put it on something and click, so let's just go over here to this ruler, and I'm going to left click, and it will take me to the manual and tell me about what I just clicked on. So it says it's measure, and then it tells you over here about it. So it's a quick way to get to information on some of those tools that you see there, and maybe you don't know exactly what they are or what they're for. It's a one-time thing, so you can see the question mark is gone. If I wanted to see what another icon was or tool, I could go up here again, click on it, and then click on something else again. Pretty handy to have. This toolbar over here is our editing and alignment toolbar. I use mine a lot. You can align, if you've got 2 or more objects on your screen, you may want to align them. So this one here with the line that goes down the side, that one is align left. So all your designs are all going to be lined up on the left. This one will align centers, align right. This one will align from the top. This is center horizontally, align bottom. This is to make the same width. So if you have more than one design there and there, you want them both to be the same width, you'd click onto this one. This is same height, this is same size, and then we have some spacing tools here, horizontal spacing and vertical spacing. Over here we have draw mode and stitch mode. And then right under here we have tool options. Right now there's nothing in this box. That's because I don't have anything right now that is selected in my workspace. So if I come down here and select my design, I now can see where the position is inside the hooped area. I have the object dimensions. I have the scale object. I can transform the tools. I can do this proportionately. I can duplicate it. I can mirror image horizontally and vertically. I can rotate the design or outline. And then there are some other times when you will get another option over here. This is a rectangle special options. Sometimes you're going to be able to have that up there and sometimes you won't. In this case, it doesn't show up, so that would not be an option right now. Over here on the left-hand side of our screen, we have our tools, our toolbar of tools. This first one here is our selection tool. It also has a little solid triangle in the corner, bottom right-hand corner of this. When I see any of these with that little triangle, if I put my arrow on it and hold my left mouse button down, I have a flyout menu. This gives me other choices. So I have the rectangle selection. I also have a lasso selection. If I had a couple designs that were very close together and I wanted to choose only one of them, maybe I couldn't get it with my rectangle selection because it makes a box around things. Then I would want to go to my lasso selection so that I could weave in and out if I had to make sure I only had that one part of the design that I wanted. We have our reshape, which we call that shape editing. This would be if I wanted to reshape this over here, I could click onto that and I'd be able to move some things around and reshape them. This says pan. I have other options here. This is my zoom in, zoom out, my pan. You'll get used to using a bunch of that. We have our measure tool here, and in one of the projects that we're going to be working with today, I'm going to show you how some of these work. Measuring tool is one of those. This is our directions, divide, slow redraw. This one is our create freehand shapes, and we do have more options under that as well. So we have our Create Freehand Shapes, we have our Create Bezier Shapes, we have Create Outline Shapes, and we have our Magic Wand tool. We have Create Crystal Shape, Create Rectangle. These shapes are quick, easy shapes that we can put design or fill stitches in or outlines in them. They're just quick, easy shapes, and we'll be working with the rectangle one today, but you can see we have circles, we have pie shape, we have a star, lots of different things to work with. We have our lettering, monograms, our array. We have a rectangular array, we have a circular array. We have our auto border, and we have our auto sequence control. Our design area is right here in the center. This is where our designing is all done. I can have, like I said before, more than one design open at a time, and I could see that up in my window here. When I click into that, it shows I have two things open right now. I can also see that on the tabs above my workspace. If I click on this tab here, I can see the design that I'm working on here. I can toggle back and forth. And over to the right-hand side of our screen, we have our Object Properties box. If I have something selected, then it's going to show me. In this case, I have satin stitches in this design. I have step fill. These are filled in. This little tab up here shows me a bucket. That means that anything on this page here is going to be for fill stitches. This one here with a pencil is outline. In this case, I cannot click on that because I don't have an outline on this design. If I go to my other design and I gotta select it, I have my fill stitches, I have outline. So you would be able to tell that way. Also, if you look down here, wait a minute, I'll show you that in just a second. In our color palette, this top part of our color palette is the thread colors that I can choose. I have chosen to have a Janome thread palette. You may choose to have a different thread palette. That's okay. In the software you can choose. Down here in the lower palette we can see the colors that are used in this design. We can see that the purple here is a filled stitch. You can see there's a little bucket in the lower part of these. This one here has the little pencil in the open top part of this square here. That means that one is an outline. So these are filled, and then we have an outline here. So you can tell either here or up here on our tabs whether we have filled or outlined stitches. And we'll be working a little bit with that in our project as well. Under that, we have our status bar, and on our status bar we have how many items are in the design, we have the width of the design, height of the design, colors in the design, how many colors there are, and how many stitches are in the design. And our sequence manager is up here. This right now shows me all of my design. If I click over here and go to my advanced and click on OK, it will then show me all of the objects that are in this design. And we're going to work with some of that when we're working the project so that you can see how you can change the stitching order and how you can use that sequence manager when you need it. We have one more menu to work with. If I put my arrow in here and do a right click, I get a context menu. And this gives me other things that I can do with this design. One of the things I work with a lot when I'm working with a design is I may want to ungroup it so that I can pick apart different parts of that design. Maybe I want to delete part of it. Maybe I want to copy part of it and put it in a different design. I do that quite a bit, move back and forth between design. We can combine, break apart. There's shaping, and again we have some tools over here because it's got a flyout menu. Array, we can create outline from shapes, create fill from shapes, cut, copy, paste, delete, select all, invert selection, select none. So there's a lot of different things. Now there are some on some designs that you do your right click. Your context menu may not have all of these in it. On that design you wouldn't be able to do as many things. So it kind of depends on what you're working at on the time. The thing that I suggest is to use your help menu. I use mine a lot. I go up here to help and I go to help topics. I can get to and find out all kinds of information about something I might want to do. I have a search feature here. I could go to search, type in, this one says sizing. I was obviously looking for sizing at the time. List topic, and it will list all the different places I may find something about sizing. And then I could just click onto them, tell it to display it, and it'll show me over here. We also have shortcut keys to use with our software, and you'll find those under our main menu. When you open up a tab, if there's a shortcut key for something, it will show you it there. I like to print that out so that I can work and learn one shortcut key at a time and then move on to another one. It's easier than me trying to learn them all at one time. So if you go to context, right down here, last one here is appendix, you click on a plus in front of it and that opens up more, and I want to go to see quick reference card. If I click onto that, it will show me over here all of my shortcut keys, and you can see it shows you the little icon that they use for that, like this is new document or new design in our case. That's Control N. So instead of going up to our standard toolbar or up under our main menu and finding it there, you could do Control N, and that would know, tell the software that's what you want to do. So you could go through and check out all the different shortcut keys, and like I said, I printed mine out. I keep them handy, and I just learn as I go what I want to learn and then go on to the next one. All right, I am going to now go into one of our projects. So I'm going to close this out. I'm going to leave this one open because it really doesn't matter. We're going to go to personalize your napkins. We're going to go to open a new file, and I'm going to pick my fabric. It's important that you do that because the fabric that you choose will help the software to adjust the stitch density and underlay automatically for the fill type stitches. So you can open, mine was a cotton fabric, so I opened up Embroidery Smooth by clicking on a plus in front of it, and these are all of the fabrics that are under there. Your napkins might be linen, so you'll want to scroll down, and there's 3 choices of linen fabrics here. I chose cotton, so I'm going to click on next, and now we have our artwork source pop-up box, and I'm going to go with new graphic because I want to create something new, and I chose my hoop, Janome 230 by 230 hoop, SQ23. You can hit the flyout menu here, and maybe you are working with a different size hoop. You can choose the hoop that works for you. I have the Janome hoop, so I'm going to go to Finish, and now I'm ready to start. So we're going to create our design for our napkin first, and I'm going to go to my T over here under my Tools toolbar, and I'm going to click onto that. And I'm going to go up here where it says Font Name. I want to find Script MT Bold. So I'm going to scroll down because this is alphabetically. I know that it is right here. So I'm going to choose that one, and then I'm going to go over here, and if you do not see your hoop in the workspace here, remember we can go under View and make sure there's a check mark in our box here for hoop. And now you can see I have my hoop on the screen here. I do that because I want my design to be the right size. I don't want to have it go outside of the hooped area because then I can't stitch it out. So I'm going to take my arrow down here because I've chosen the font that I want to use, and I'm just going to click inside my hoop here, and I get a blinking line. So now I'm going to type in, I'm doing an, all right, don't do that. That was a shortcut key I accidentally did. I'm going to do a capital H. Oh, sure, I lost my line. And what I want you to see is this is only a graphic right now. You see your H on the screen. The minute I go up here to my rectangular selection button, this is going to tell the software that I am done placing lettering. When I click onto that, it automatically fills that in. So let me just zoom in on it a little bit more because I want you to see what we're doing here. All right, so here's our H. We have it filled in. If I go over here to my Object Properties box, I can see that it is filled in with a step stitch. I want this to be a little bit different than that. So I'm going to leave it at step. I'm going to leave the style at none, but under patterns, I'm going to choose a different pattern. I want this one here, this /2 DBL. And right away it changed in the screen here to this pattern. I also want to go up here into my tool options box, and I want to change the height to 2 inches. So I'm just going to click onto the 2 and come back down here, and it changed the size of my letter. Now if you look at this, this is not in the center of my hoop, and sometimes you would want to work with it there. So I'm going to show you how quick and easy that is. Up here on our standard toolbar, you can see Manage Hoop Options. If I click onto that, I can see that I can center the design to hoop, so I want a check mark in there. Also, if I didn't get the correct size hoop that I wanted, I can change it here now. So just because we didn't do it the first time around doesn't mean that you've missed your opportunity. We can hit our fly down menu and choose it there, and we're going to click on OK, and right away that centered that in that hoop. All right, now I need to zoom in again because I want you to see what I'm doing here. This design is only a filled in design. If you look at the very bottom down here, remember how I told you on the lower palette, you could tell, and on this one little box we have going here, the pail is on the bottom of that box, the solid part of that box. That means it's a fill stitch. I don't see any box over here that has the little pencil in it to show me that there's an outline. I want to add an outline to it. So I'm just going to go up here to my to the top palette here, and I'm going to put my cursor in any, I don't even care what color because it's really not going to matter in the long run. I just want to add this. So I'm going to click in that top box, and now in the bottom box you can see that I now have another box with the pencil in it. That means I can come over here to my Object Properties box and I can click on the pencil, and now I can get to other things. It is a running stitch. Right now under Styles it has none. I want to change that, so I'm going to scroll down until I get to 53. I'm going to click onto that, and look what happened to my H. Just that fast, we now have a decorative stitch around it. It's right up next to our H. I want to do one more thing to change, and I'm going to go to my offset here in my Object Properties box, and I'm going to swipe that, and I'm going to type in 1.5. And when I left click in the workspace, can you see now that I have a space between my H and my decorative stitch? So you can play around a lot with those styles, change that outline to a different style. It was a lot of fun. I had a hard time deciding which one to use for you today, but that's the one I chose. All right, now I want to add a little bit more to this. I could just do a letter on a napkin, but I really want to add a little bit more. So I'm going to go up under Tools. I'm going to go to my Clip Art library, and I'm going to insert Clip Art. I'm going to get a box up here, and I'm going to scroll down until I get to Corners 33. And here it is. I'm just going to select that and click on Insert. Now my cursor turned into a little X. So somewhere to the right of my H, I'm just going to left click, and that gives me my little corner design. And at this time, I'm going to do a few things to that. Up here in my object, or in my tool options box, I want my proportional. Make sure that has a check mark in it. I want to click on duplicate. I'm going to do mirror X and mirror Y. And in my rotate, I'm going to type in 90. And then I'm going to touch the enter button on my keyboard. When I use the enter button on my keyboard, it makes the changes, and it also leaves that last design selected. If I take my cursor in the workspace and left click, it not only makes the changes, but it deselects what I had selected. In this case, I want to move this, so I wanted it selected, so I did the enter button. If you look at my cursor, when I get down around this box, can you see how it changes to 4 arrows? That means that I can now hold my left mouse button down and I can move that to the other side or wherever I want it. You have other things that you can do with this as well. On the corners here, if I take my cursor and put it until the 2 arrows show up, that means I can resize this proportionately. If I move it until I get that little round circle, that means it can now be a rotate button. You also have little marks on the center sides and a center top and bottom. Those I can use also to change the size, either the height or the width. So lots of different ways to do that. So now I've put this one where I want that one. I'm going to come back over here on this side, and the first corner I'm going to select, and I want to move that one until I like where it goes. They don't match. I did that on purpose because the 2 sides of my H do not match. So I wanted these to be a little bit different from each other, going in different directions. You may like yours to match. When you design yours, you can do whatever you want. Now, did you also notice that when I deselect. I have nothing selected in this box. I not only don't have anything in my tool options box, I don't have anything in my object properties box either. So to have anything show up in either one of those boxes, you have to have something selected. All right, I want to make this easy for me to stitch these out. If I'm going to make a set of napkins, I want them all to stitch out in the same place on my napkin. I have two ways that I can do that. One is I could print this off and do a paper template. I could mark where it's going to go from the template and then take my napkin and with that in mind put it in there. Now I'm pretty good at that, but I can be very accurate doing it the way I'm going to show you now. I am going to create placement lines. So quick, so easy to do this, and that will ensure that every napkin I do will turn out the same. So I'm going to go over here under my Tools toolbar, and remember how we have the Create Freehand Shapes? That is the one I want to select, and I'm going to come over here. Now I have something else on the end of my cursor here. I want to click over here to the right of my design, and when I click, I have this line, and I can click anywhere I want down here, but I want to make sure that my line is nice and straight and vertical. The easiest way to do that is to hold your Control key down on your keyboard, and it actually snapped to this line. Maybe I don't want it straight in some cases. It will snap to whatever line I want it to. This is so nice to have. So when I come down here, I want to be below my design, and I'm going to click. That set that in place. Now I can let go of the Control key. I want another one that goes horizontal, so I'm going to start at the bottom of the vertical one that we just did, and when I get close to that, it shows me a little dot. I'm going to click onto that, and again, I have my line. Hold your Control key down, and it snaps it to that line. I'm just going to go out here a ways and click, let my Control key down. Now I'm done creating lines. I want to go up here to my selection button. I'm going to click, and now I have stitches on there, but I don't want this to be real close together stitching, so I'm going to go over here to my Object Properties box. I'm going to click on Length and swipe that box and type in 4 so that my stitches will be 4 millimeters long, and then I can, this case, I'm going to do my left mouse button, and remember how I told you if I do my left mouse button it deselects what I had? I just did that. Alright, now that's nice, but I want my H and my corners to stitch out actual diagonally here. So I'm going to select my designs. I'm going to come down here with my cursor below my H and to the right of my corner design, and I'm going to drag a box around that, and when I let that go, I have now selected everything except for my placement line. And in this case, I'm going to go up to my Rotate button. I'm going to swipe that and type in 90. Hit Enter on my keyboard. Oh, it's too much. Let's undo that. See how handy this is? I love undo. We actually want this to be 45. So whatever you put in there is how far that's going to go. So we have 45-degree angle now. My placement line, I'm going to select so I can move it. I want my placement line to be about 3/4 of an inch from my H, this way and this way. And I'm probably too far there, but not enough there. The way to find out for sure is to go over here to my Measure tool, and if I click onto that, I now have a little ruler hooked to my cursor, and I can click on my outline of my H and drag it over to the side here, and this one says it is 0.819, and I'm going to go over here and do the same here. And that one's pretty good. So this one, this side needs to be moved. I can't move it while I have my ruler attached. I have to go back to my selection there. Now I can use the arrows on my keyboard to move that in a little bit. And then I would go back to my ruler, check it again until I get it right. Now if this bothers you because it doesn't stitch up far enough, you can always change the size of that, remember? Maybe this one you have a little bit too far. And just like that, we have that fixed. All right. Now I have a placement line and I have my design. There's nothing that's going to hold my napkin in place securely while I stitch my H and my corners. So I want to create a basting box. I'm going to come over here to my Create Rectangle, and I'm going to select that. Come over here. I want to be inside the placement line, but I don't want to catch any of my H in my corner. I want to make sure that I'm far enough away from them, and when I swipe it, I can catch it all in there. When I let it go, it fills it in automatically. Just that quickly, I have a box with filled in stitches. However, I really don't want filled in stitches. We want an outline. So if I come down here in my lower palette box, can you see the very first one here actually has an X through it? That means that if I put my cursor in the bottom corner of that one and left click it, it now removed the fill stitch and it left me with an outline. This outline I'm going to make a different color from anything else in this design because I don't want these to stitch in the wrong order. So I'm going to come over here in any box, any color that I haven't used before. I'm going to click into the open part of it, and that is going to tell it that it's an outline. And now over here in my object properties, I need to make that length 4 millimeters. Otherwise, I will not be able to get that stitching out of my napkin when I'm done with the design. So now I have that done. I'm going to go up here in my Tools toolbar and click on my selection again. Tells it I am done with that. Otherwise, if I don't do that, it will keep making more boxes. So now you can see I have an outline, basting box, and my design, but they are in the wrong order. They're not going to stitch in the correct order. I already know that because it's going to stitch in the order that I placed them. Now, I don't have my my sequence manager. Can you see that right here under View? And when I put a check mark there, it shows me my sequence manager here. Again, this is my complete design that is showing right now. I'm going to, under my Tools toolbar, I'm going to go to my Auto Sequence Control. Click onto that. I need to go to Advanced and click on OK. Now it shows me every step of my design. And it's in the order that I placed them in here. My filled in H, my outline of my H, corner, another corner, my placement line, and my basting box. My placement line needs to stitch first. I'm going to select that, and then I'm going to drag it right down here, and now it is going to stitch first. My basting box I want to stitch second, so I'm going to drag that down and let that go. Now I have them in the correct order that I want them to stitch. To make sure of that, I'm going to go over here to my slow redraw, and I'm going to click on Start, and it's going to, see, there's my placement line, there's my basting box, and then it goes into the design that we've done. You can speed that up if you want to, you can slow it down, but we've seen really what we need to see there. We just wanted to make sure of the order that those things were going to stitch out. So we're going to close that box up, and now we would be ready to stitch this out. We're going to go to File, Save As, and I always save what I'm working on as a draw file first. I have a folder that I put all the things that I'm working on in, and that way in the future I may want to use that again. Maybe I'll change the letter in it, but I can still use the other parts of it. If it's a draw file, it makes it a whole lot easier for me. So I'm going to put it where I can find it, name it what I want, and then click on Save. Then I'm going to go back under File, Save As. Now I want to send this to the machine. I'm going to choose the machine that I'm working on, the format for that. I'm going to select Genome, which is a .jef file. I usually use a USB stick on my machine. That would show up under Computer over here. Click on that and then click on Save. Then I can take that USB stick, put it in my machine, and stitch it out. So the steps to stitch this out, we're going to hoop 2 layers of Artistic Tearaway Stabiliser. We're going to embroider the placement line, and I tried to do this to where you would be able to see this, because then you're going to use temporary spray adhesive on the back of the corner of your napkin and place it right up against your placement line. Then you're going to stitch the basting box, and you can see that's going to hold that napkin down firmly while I do the rest of the stitching. I embroider my design, remove the hoop from the machine, remove the basting stitches, and I find it's easier from the Stabiliser side to remove those basting stitches, and then carefully remove the excess Stabiliser. You want to remove those one layer at a time. It's easier on your stitches, and we don't want to add stress to our stitches when we just took so much time to do those napkins. The other project that I have is the CD case, and we're going to go to New. This one, it does not really matter what hoop or fabric, because we're not going to be using a hoop, we're not going to be using fabric, we're not going to do embroidery, so we're just going to go to New Graphic and Finish. And if your hoop shows up on a screen, you may choose to go under View and take that check mark away, because you're not going to be using a hoop anyway. So I'm going to go to my lettering. In this case, I want Comic Sans MS, so I'm going to scroll up here. It's right here, and then I'm going to click in the workspace, and I'm going to type in the name I want to work with. It's my granddaughter's name. She's so cute. And I'm going to go up here to Rectangle Selection on my Tools toolbar and click. And again, just that quickly, we have stitches. We don't want stitches in this case, do we? We want crystals. So we're going to go over here in our, well, first of all, I want this a different size. You need to measure your CD case or whatever you're putting this on. Mine measured 5 3/4 inches. So I want my lettering to be 5 inches wide. And under my width up here, I'm going to swipe that, type in 5, and then hit Enter on the keyboard. And it leaves it selected, and it changed the size of my lettering. Over here in our Object Properties box, it shows me that I have a satin stitch. I want to change that to Crystal Fill. So when I click on that, it gives me my palette, and this is where you choose what shape of crystal you're using. I'm using round. The size, I'm using size 10. We can go to our color and change the color. I'll just pick fuchsia so you can see it pretty well. I want under fill, I want single line. I'm leaving the offset at 0. item rotation at 0, H spacing at 1.0. And I can see that I have pretty crystals over here. I can also see that some of them are too close. These are too close. I need to have spaces between these crystals that is at least half the size of my crystal. Otherwise, what will happen is when this goes through the cutter, this will not have two circles. It will be one. It'll just be a big mess, and we don't want that. So we're going to go back over to Object Properties. I want to click on Separate to Crystals, and then I want to come over here and put my cursor in here, do a right click to bring up that context menu, and I want to click on Ungroup because I want to be able to choose one crystal at a time. And because I have too many of them here, I'm going to do delete on my keyboard, and I'm getting rid of one. I may want to do that to that one as well. This one I'm going to move, and remember, this box is the same as that other box that we had on our design, where if you wait till your cursor turns to the 4 arrows, then you can move that crystal. Just going to move that out of the way for a minute. I want these to be spaced differently, so I'm going to select this row, and I'm going to use my alignment tools. Remember, we have spacing. I can equally space these vertically. When I click onto that, look how quick and easy that did that for me. And then I can come up here and start moving my crystals around until I get them spaced where I want them. I can again use my vertical spacing on these as well. So use the tools that you have, move these around until you get a nice look on them, you get the distance you need between them, and it can be so much fun. Then we are ready to send this over. So I'm going to set up my my Zing cutter, and I'm going to turn it on. Then I'm going to go under File, Export to Crystal/Cutters. And that brings up another box. You can see I have my Zing selected here. Maybe you have a different style of cutter. Make sure that yours is selected, and then you're going to set it up per the instructions for your cutter. And then what I do is I put my material in the cutter, and then I want to trace and make sure that where it cuts, it's going to be on the mat where it needs to be. And sometimes I use all my template material until it's gone. So I want to make sure that I don't waste any of it, and I want to make sure that I'm not going to go into where there might not be any left. So I will use the trace. If I need to adjust where my cutter is going to cut, I have these arrows right here that I can use to move my mat in there until it's set up correctly. When it is, then I'm going to click on Cut. And you can see right down here, it shows you a picture of what it's going to cut. If I saw a picture like this, I could see right away this is too close to this one. This is too close over here. So it's another opportunity for you to check and make sure that everything is going to cut the way you want it to. And then you're going to click on Cut. Again, I would save this. I'd go under File, and I would save this as a draw file as well, just so that I can bring things back in later, because I never know what I'm going to be doing at the time. So you're going to take a piece of your template material, and you're going to adhere it to your sticky mat. And then you're going to put it in your Zing and cut the template. And I don't know if you can see the little holes in here that it has cut into my template material, but when I grab a corner of this, I will slowly pull this back, and hopefully all these little circles will be stuck to my sticky mat. If not, I'll poke them out. Either way works. When I get this out, get all them little circles out of there, I'm going to take that template and place it onto a backing board. Then I'm going to put my backing board over a box that can catch any of the crystals that might fall away, and I'm going to then sprinkle my crystals over my template. I want to push them into the holes, making sure that the crystal side is up so I can see that it's really pretty. And then I'm going to take a piece of the transfer tape, I'm going to lay it on top of the crystals and finger press them to that transfer tape. I want to make sure that every crystal sticks to that tape. So when I peel that back, it's going to pull the crystals with it, and then I can lay this on my CD case, take my iron and press this in place, let it cool before you remove that transfer tape, because if you don't, some of those crystals could come with that transfer tape because the adhesive is still not set. So you want to wait, let it cool down, and then you can slowly remove the transfer tape. And it is so beautiful. And don't ever put your finger on one of them to double check to make sure it's adhered, because when they're hot, you will then have a little burned round spot on your finger. And I'm not going to tell you why I know that. Don't forget to go to your local artistic dealer for more information about the artistic software. If you don't know where your local dealer is, you can go to this website that you see on the screen here and find a dealer that might be close to you that can help you out with it. The projects that I went over today are on our website, and they are on there right now. Tomorrow, a recording of our webinar will be on the website as well. We just have to have time to get it uploaded and get it on there. So right now you can go get both of those projects. They are step by step so that you can work your way through the software step by step. Our next Artistic Suites version 6 webinar is going to be June 25th, 12 p.m. and 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And you can keep checking our Janome website for the invitation. And if you have any questions or comments, please email them to janome-webinar@janome-america.com, and we will get back to you as soon as we can. I really thank all of you for attending tonight. It was a pleasure, and I hope to see you at our next one. Have a great night. Goodbye, everyone.